Okay, now that we know how to update our content, we are going to move on to some more integrative things such as modules, blocks, and our menus. So just like the basic things that make up our website. So to access all of those, we go back to our admin dashboard, so itszaz.org/admin. Start with modules, since I've mentioned them a few times in the last tutorial. Modules they enable or disable add-ons modules of your site. So modules are add-ons to the website. They allow you to make your site more functional by adding new and improved features to it. So it's just not the plain site that you see right now. Modules they scope a lot of different things. Like I said, we had installed a module that allowed us to edit the HTML in rich text format, and that module was called WYSIWYG. And then we also have a module now that allowed us to create our own web forms, and that module was called Web Form. Now you may be asking, well, where did you get these modules, and how did you know what modules to get? You never really know what modules you're going to get until you run across a problem, and then you think to yourself, well, is there a module available? So to get a module, you go to Drupal.org, this site here. So you just click this thing, modules, refine user modules, and then you just search. Like, say you wanted a CAPTCHA thing, you would type in CAPTCHA, you would find it, and then you would download the zip file. Well, first, obviously, you would make sure that it's a credible module. Some of the stuff, because it's open source, you may come across modules that aren't exactly very safe or very user-friendly. Sometimes the best way to tell if a module is credible is by looking at the number of issues. If there are a lot of issues open, then that means it's actually a credible module. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but that means that issues are being answered, the module is being maintained. That is the one thing that you always want to keep track of, and make sure that your module is being maintained and being put up to date and being fixed, because even though these are issues, there's only 126 open. That means 809 of them have either been patched or fixed in some way. So we are currently running on Drupal 6, so the only module that you would install would be Drupal 6. Although Drupal 7 is out, Drupal 7 is currently in beta testing mode, and it's not incredibly safe to use right now, although a lot of people think it's better because it has a better user interface and everything else. It's just not what people that are trying to get their website up and running and functional want to be using at the moment. So until all the kinks are worked out, that's just going to be my mantra. So either if you're using a Mac or a PC, you would get the tar.gz. Zip is for PC. Download it. When you download the zip, you want to extract it with your basic extraction software. So I had just installed Latest, which was a open source thing. I extracted it, and then it appeared on my desktop. So once it appeared on my desktop, I dragged and dropped it into the FTP. I dragged it from my desktop, and I put it into my FTP. So here's Latest, and then basically I dragged it into modules. I'm not going to do it right now because I already did it. So modules, this is the folder in which all modules are installed. It's just that easy. You just drag it from your desktop or wherever into the modules folder. You need to make sure you're not already in the modules folder, because if I were to drag, some people make the mistake of dragging and dropping it in, and then they drop it into Blog API. It's not going to show up on your website if you drag it already into another module folder. So you need to make sure that you drag it into root folder modules. Just letting you know. So once you have it in there, you just go back to your modules dashboard into your website, you refresh, and then it will appear in your modules folder. So the way that you enable it is just by pressing enable next to the name of the module that you just dragged into there and save configuration. So an important thing to note about modules is that all modules are different, and some of them, like I said, aren't credible and they won't function properly. Some of them just don't want to work with the website, especially since we have a template and there's already a lot of predetermined things to this template. You may run into errors when installing modules. So if you do run into errors, again, as me, as a person that's knowledgeable with Drupal, heck, if you really want to, and if you're really running into problems, I would suggest posting on the forums. That's what they're there for. They answer. They're really nice people, so definitely try that out. So once we have our modules installed, you may notice that your admin dashboard has become even longer with the addition of the module link. So we just enabled the WYSIWYG module, and now there's a WYSIWYG link on our admin panel. If we were to click this, which I'm not going to do right now, there would be just ways that you can customize the module and how it functions and how it appears on different pages. But again, every module is different, so by clicking it, it could do a lot of different things. One thing that certain modules do is they allow the creation of blocks. Now, blocks are content. Like this right here is a block. It looks exactly like a block, and it is a block. And this is also a block, but other things that you may not know are also blocks. So the search engine right here, this is a block. This is not a block. This is actually integrated into some file in the FTP. So blocks are just basically bits of content that you can arrange on the site that can appear on certain pages or disappear on other pages, and they just add more functionality to your website. So the only blocks that I currently have enabled are secondary links, navigation, and some stuff that are currently working. So one thing that we could add to our things as an example, these are all the disabled blocks right now. So we can either enable them by dragging them into a certain region. So I'm going to drag Syndicate into the left sidebar. As you can see, this green part says left sidebar. This is the content part. This is right sidebar. And then custom basically stands for at the top above the slideshow. So we can configure Syndicate, and just as we can configure all blocks by clicking configure, which is on the side there. And then we can show the block for specific roles, like if we wanted only registered users to be able to renew their membership, we would only make the renew your membership block available to authenticated users and paying members and registered members. You can also customize your block even further by giving it a block title and by adding even more stuff to it. This could be PHP or HTML or whatever. Best not to mess with it. Again, that's more just details that are really important when it comes to blocks. You can also make your own block by pressing Add Block. And then again, this is just a block of content, whatever you really wish it to be. I could say social networking, and then I could insert a few pictures of a Facebook or Twitter or something else, and then I could make them linked to the Facebook, to the Twitter, and then I could save the block. And then to enable the block, once I create it, I would drag it into the left sidebar. Where did it go? Let's do something else then. We'll just drag this into the left sidebar, since it doesn't seem to like the other one very well. So we drag that in and we save blocks. Now we have a new block right here that says Drupal. And that's just a basic example of what blocks can do. And then as you can see by clicking this, we're linked directly to Drupal.org. And then say you didn't like that Drupal.org there, you can just drag it back into the disabled region. And then save blocks. Simple as that. And blocks are very handy. There's a myriad of uses. Like I said, modules come with blocks sometimes, so it's very crucial that you be careful when reading the installation instructions if you're supposed to be installing a block or something else with a menu or something. It gets a little complicated sometimes, so if you have any questions, again, ask an expert or somebody that knows what they're doing. So with the last one, we'll go back to itsaz.org/admin, and we will go over menus. So this is our menu up here. One page that isn't currently linked to something is the calendar page. Now the calendar page does have some content, but we have to find it first, or at least locate the page that we created for it, and then link it to that page that we created. It sounds complicated, but it's really not. So let's find the content first. I believe it was node 16. Yes, it is. This is going to be resized and fixed, but it's node 16 that we want the calendar page to be linked to. So to edit any of the links in the menu, we would go to menus, very easy, navigation, and then we can see how our entire website is arranged. Basically, when they're scooted in like this, that means it's the child of that particular region. We're going to go down to primary links, which I suppose it's right there. And then primary links lets us see all the links that are currently included in our menu atop right here. So we have our primary links, and then we see that membership has a lot of children, and they're children because they're scooted in. And then we can see where they are linked to by just clicking on them, and then it leads to the page. So if I were to click on calendar, it would link to nothing because calendar doesn't have a path yet. So we'll fix that by pressing edit. And right now, the only reason that I'm able to have calendar up there is because I put node add. So when I'm not sure which node my content is on, I always put node/add. So now that I know, I can type in node 16. So we'll save that. And then we will click calendar. Ta-da! Now it's working. So whenever you want to add content or change up what's already on the website and relink the primary links, that is the page you always use, menus. So that concludes the tutorial for the basic site building techniques such as blocks, modules, and menus. Hope you enjoyed it.